I think it's fair to say that no one can stand the star of this movie.
Excuse me. Your curtain. Please allow me to help.
Help? From you?
Oh, my dear, it's a magic wishing apple.
A wishing apple? You offer it to me freely. In place of the patriarchy, you would have a queen! Not white, but...
For years, The Simpsons has poked fun at everything from politics to pop icons. Yet when the show introduced an episode dubbed Snowwoke, viewers immediately understood who they were aiming at. Rachel Zgler, the star of Disney's live-action Snow White remake. The parody was direct.
Diverse, inclusive, and equitable! I will become the...
A modernized princess turned off by the very story she was hired to uphold, leading to a spectacular on-screen flop. Critics called it one of The Simpsons' most incisive roasts in years. How did it come to this? Not long ago, Rachel was riding a wave of unbridled success, championed for her voice, and lauded for her promising future. Then, in what felt like an instant, she found herself at the center of swirling controversies, frustrated fans, and baffled industry insiders.
Rachel Zgler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
This is the story of how the once-celebrated newcomer ended up as comedic fodder in a primetime cartoon, a symbolic moment in an ongoing saga of social media missteps, studio silence, and public disillusionment. Rachel's journey into the spotlight began like a Hollywood dream. From school theater productions to viral singing videos, her talent seemed poised to catch the eye of major studios. That breakthrough finally arrived when Steven Spielberg chose her for a lead role in his adaptation of West Side Story. Audiences were dazzled. Professional critics gushed about her vocal prowess and commanding screen presence. In the aftermath of that film's release, Rachel's star ascended quickly. She was the person everyone wanted at premieres, award ceremonies, and glossy magazine features. Some even compared her trajectory to icons from Hollywood's golden age, certain that a few more successes would put her in a league of her own.
They just got rid of the dwarfs, okay?
Okay, but what do they call them?
Why would they get rid of the dwarfs, though?
Magical creatures.
With an infectious confidence and an active social media presence, Rachel stood out. But that same outspokenness, so refreshing at first, gradually sparked disagreements in public forums. The first hints of trouble came through seemingly harmless social media posts. Rachel didn't mince words when discussing her strong stances on social justice and the industry's enduring problems. Many admired her candor, seeing it as a sign of a new generation unwilling to accept old biases. Others, however, found her tone off-putting, labeling her remarks as dismissive of traditional Hollywood culture. Fan chats started to reflect a growing tension. While plenty of people continued to celebrate Rachel's outspokenness, a vocal minority criticized the way she addressed certain classic films or actors, suggesting she lacked the humility that larger-than-life Hollywood reputations demand.
But they have one token dwarf amongst these magical creatures. You actually just went backwards. You actually just erased the dwarfism side of it.
These early disapprovals might have remained small footnotes, if not for the high-stakes casting that thrust her into a beloved classic and an even bigger spotlight. When Disney officially announced Rachel as the new face of Snow White, the news made headlines worldwide. Instantly, speculation about how she'd handle one of the studio's most treasured stories caught fire. Initially, her supporters celebrated the casting as a triumph of young talent. Others were more skeptical, questioning how Disney might modernize a film that's been iconic for generations. And modernize it, they did. Reports soon revealed that this Snow White would depart significantly from the 1937 blueprint. The dwarfs were sidelined or reimagined, the prince played a minor role, and the classic love story was replaced with a narrative focusing on female leadership. Then came the interviews. Rachel made waves by calling the original dated and strange, remarking that the prince was practically a stalker.
The disability, like we're a disability group, you just erase that whole image. The argument should have been from Peter Dinklage, there's power of being on TV.
In her mind, these were fresh, progressive angles. For longtime fans, however, these comments felt like an assault on the cherished spirit of the original. Instead of unifying audiences around a long-awaited remake, Rachel's remarks fanned the flames of discord. Every statement or interview snippet ricocheted across social media, often fueling arguments that spread like wildfire. Disney, for its part, stayed curiously silent, leaving Rachel and the controversy to shape perceptions of the film on their own. The path from announcement to release proved rocky. Viral posts accused the production of missing the essence of Snow White by discarding elements that made the original special. Hashtags like #NotMySnowWhite trended, and fans debated endlessly whether it was fair to reinvent a timeless classic so drastically. Meanwhile, rumors grew about tension with Rachel's more established co-star, Gal Gadot, who played the iconic Evil Queen. Observers claimed the two offered up stilted interactions at press junkets, fueling speculation that Gal preferred to avoid controversies swirling around Rachel's statements. With no official clarifications from Disney, guesswork ballooned into near certainty on the internet. Bloggers, YouTubers, and gossip columns seized on any snippet of awkward footage to spin further rumors. Suddenly, the production felt less like a magical event and more like a battleground. Instead of focusing on the fairy tale's legacy, discussions hinged on Rachel's interviews, Disney's creative choices, and the possibility that Snow White might become Disney's biggest misfire to date. But as intense as the conversation was, few expected The Simpsons to enter the fray with such brutal precision. The fateful episode aired without much advance notice. Titled Snowwoke, it depicted an actress, clearly inspired by Rachel, insisting on dragging a beloved fantasy world into modern discourse, often reprimanding the villagers for embracing outdated traditions. The dwarfs were missing, replaced by creatures that checked diversity boxes but lacked the original's charm. Ratings plummeted in Springfield, referencing the real-world possibility that a cherished classic could tank due to misguided reimaginings. For viewers who'd been following Rachel's career, the parallels were too glaring to ignore. The Simpsons depiction pulled no punches, highlighting the precise traits that critics had called out in Rachel. A certain holier-than-thou approach, the alienation of traditional fans, and the overall sense that her take on Snow White felt more like a sermon than a story. Insiders whispered that Rachel was mortified, convinced she'd been publicly skewered.
Power of television, and to put 7 people with dwarfism on camera in a major Disney movie, there's still power there. If the story...
Yet, to an industry that reveres The Simpsons for its biting cultural commentary, this felt like the natural endpoint for a story that had brewed for months. Once a celebrity is parodied on The Simpsons, especially in such a pointed way, it often cements public opinion for better or worse. Behind the scenes, studios took notice. The unexpected backlash surrounding Snow White, and by extension, Rachel Zgler, made executives cautious. Rumblings of potential contract renegotiations or dropped roles began to surface, although no official announcements were made. Many in Hollywood saw how intense the scrutiny had become and decided it wasn't worth the risk. Away from studio negotiations, Rachel faced personal challenges as well. Stories emerged about her breakup with longtime partner Josh Andres Rivera, another blow coming amid the most stressful period of her public life. On social media, the conversation frequently devolved into personal attacks, stoking rumors that her relationship struggled under the sheer weight of bad press. Even stranger episodes arose, such as an AI-generated adult profile falsely attributed to Rachel. Though quickly debunked, its mere existence highlighted how chaotic her public image had become. People were willing to believe nearly any rumor tied to her name, underscoring how drastically her reputation had morphed from Hollywood's next sweetheart to Hollywood's newest lightning rod. When the Snow White remake finally reached theaters, the outcome was sobering. Box office returns landed far below expectations, and online reviews were merciless. Many insisted the updated narrative lost the simple wonder that made the original a classic. On rating platforms, the film's numbers sank to a near-historic low for Disney. What stunned observers even more was the wave of celebration that greeted its failure. Social media lit up with memes mocking the new take, while fans of the old movie said it proved their suspicions correct. For Disney, it amounted to a glaring wake-up call on the dangers of meddling too drastically with beloved IPs. For Rachel, it raised a painful question. Would she ever outrun the shadow of this flop and the controversies that had fueled its downfall? Though the fiasco included multiple components, Disney's experimental rewrite, lukewarm audience reception, and negative word of mouth, Rachel's vocal interviews became the flashpoint. The Simpsons' Snowwoke segment merely crystallized what many were already feeling. In the court of public opinion, her portrayal of the fairy tale icon had broken too many boundaries. And so the real question emerges. Can Rachel Zgler overcome the repercussions of a project that alienated core Disney fans and landed her in the crosshairs of The Simpsons? Hollywood is known for second chances, especially for those with genuine talent. If Rachel opts for a recalibrated public image, perhaps stepping away from polarizing statements, she may well find a path back into audience favor. But even if she stages a dramatic comeback, the Snowwoke caricature will linger, replayed in syndication for years to come. It serves as a reminder of how a single role and a few charged opinions can trigger a cultural dogpile in the modern era. Rachel's rise was meteoric, her stumble equally so. Whether or not she finds redemption in the industry, her story has already become an emblem of how quickly public sentiment can shift, and how even the most promising star can find herself lampooned in animated form when the spark of controversy grows into a 5-alarm fire.